Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It goes without saying that we are facing multiple challenges, individually, collectively, locally, nationally, and internationally. If you look at it specifically as South Africans, the rising petrol prices every month, collapsing electricity infrastructure. If it's not load shedding, then it's an overload. You don't know when you're going to have electricity, when you're not going to have electricity. Now, increasing water outages, then having to deal with incompetent officials, dishonest politicians. On top of that, natural disasters, like we've seen with the recent floods. Not much hope in the politicians and in those who are tasked and those who are responsible for the situation. Basic food commodities are going up. Something happens in Ukraine or in Russia or in Europe, it impacts on us here on the southernmost tip of Africa. So it's like, from all fronts. And simultaneously, we are facing challenge after challenge. Many unemployed, many are struggling to make ends meet, many are frustrated as a result of the blackouts, many are depressed and are sad. What do we do? I have a 5-point plan for you. Firstly, and most importantly, use these challenges as an opportunity to strengthen your relationship with Allah. That's a great lesson that we learn from the Quran, from the Sunnah and Seerah, and from history. Everything that happens can only happen if Allah wants it to happen. And the solution to any and every problem lies ultimately with Allah. It doesn't mean we must be passive and we mustn't make an effort. That is on its place. We have to make an effort. But the source of all solution is Allah. So that's our first port of call. Use this as an opportunity to become more obedient servants of Allah, to give up sin, to give up that which is displeasing to Allah. Because when you do that, you are more likely to enjoy the extra special blessings and assistance of Allah. The second thing is, see it as a test. Look, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam had said, Ajaban li amril mu'min. A believer is always in a win-win situation. When things are going well, you make shukr and Allah rewards you. When things are not going well, you make sabr. So for all of these difficulties, every time you get irritated when the lights trip, every time when there's no water, every time there's a challenge that you have because of bad roads as a result of corruption and not maintaining of infrastructure, make sabr. See it as a test from Allah and you'll continuously get rewarded. It's now an investment for you in your year after. The third thing, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has always told us, when you find yourself in a difficulty, look at those who have less. If you've got no shoes, look at those who have no legs. So if you've got no lights and you're feeling cold and you're frustrated because you can't cook, think of the person living in a shack. They don't have what you already have, even without electricity. Think of the person begging on the street corner at a traffic light. They are far worse off than you are. It does not trivialize the difficulty that you are going through. It does not create an excuse for those who are responsible for that difficulty that you're going through, but it helps to give you some perspective that you're not suffering as much as others are and that you are still better off. And it makes you more grateful and it equips you then to deal with the situation better. The fourth thing, learn from history. The greatest inspiration we can get is to know that people in the past have suffered far worse than what we are suffering, and they still managed to prevail by relying on Allah, by turning to Allah in dua and supplication, by making an effort. So that is how we motivate ourselves. Of course, things are difficult, they are challenging, at times it can become a bit overwhelming, but you remind yourself, people have suffered far worse, and they have come through it, and they have prevailed. I can do the same, inshallah. And finally, the fifth part of the 5-point plan, be solution orientated, no matter how bad things have become. You see, we are in a constant state of lamenting what is wrong, but we're not moving from lament to action. We complain and we reiterate the obvious, but we need to be solution orientated. We can't fix everything overnight by ourselves. I know that, but we can start somewhere. We can start small. And we've seen, whether it's crime or whether it's electricity or whether it's bad roads or whether it's the economy, when a community gets together, relying on Allah, turning to Allah, having a positive approach, having positive thoughts, changing the quality of their thoughts, having a strong intention to move from lament towards action, then they start making a difference. We can never give up. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has told us, وَلَا تَعْجَزْ. A believer is never helpless. Ista'in billah, because the believer always helps Allah. So, being positive in the face of multiple difficulties and challenges doesn't mean that you are ignoring or trivializing those challenges. It means you're lighting a candle to the darkness. It means you're coming with a positive approach to a negative situation, because coming with a negative approach to a negative situation only makes it worse. A believer always has hope. This 5-point plan hopefully can be of benefit to all. May Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala grant us the understanding. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.